Alright, in this video we're going to talk about planet management, and we're going to manage the planet that we set up and established the last time. So I'm going to hit planet management off the game menu. You can also do this if I were to exit out and then assume command of your ship.
Engage hyperdrive.
And we'll fly to the system
Entering system.
that we're in, and then go to my planet. Then we'll just get over here. Anything I need to tell you here? I don't think so. And we'll get into the orbit, and then there will be a manage button. And then this will set us up for the other videos too, so we're in the right place. Okay, so I hit manage, and that takes me to the planet. I make sure that I have the planet selected that I want to manage. And then this is our 96 metals. Okay, so this planet has been growing since we've been gone. You'll notice now that there's 10,102 houses, 13,000 colonists. So this is about, I guess it's about an hour and a half later or something like that. Okay, so planet settings. We'll turn it off to everybody else except ourselves. We'll go to labor settings. Okay, basic industry. This builds the capacity for the other industries. So if you see here, you'll notice that the capacity has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I come here, I got 1, 2, 3. Basic equipment, arms, refinery, shipyards, and civilian equipment. So as this is growing, it's building those and growing that capacity. So you can notice here that armaments has gone up by 1. It was 450 before. I think this was 1350, so it's gained 3 more jobs since we were gone. So if I want this to focus on just building basic industry, you can see there's no dots over here at all. Nothing is selected. So that means that as this is growing the industry, it's putting just the same amount into all of these. So if I select basic industry, it will focus all of its building capacity onto basic industry. You'll see none of these others will change at that point. If I want to split that, and all you need is 1 dot, by the way. 1 dot will do it. If I put 1 dot into into basic, and I put 1 dot into refinery, and I put 1 dot into civilian, this is basically a third will go into this, a third will go into that, and a third will go into that. If I put 2 dots, now there's 4 dots total, so 2/4, 1/4, 1/4. Okay, all right. Put 3 dots here, 3/5, because there's 5 dots. 3/5 go into basic equipment, and then refinery robots and civilian are 1/5 of the output in each of those. And you can see it's going up just a little bit because these don't cost very much. You can discover what costs are in the MegaWars 3 original manual, and we'll be putting that into the wiki as we grow the game. Okay. All right. So mining. Let's talk about mining. You'll notice that mining wasn't anything in basic industry, but we have refining robots. What happens is mining itself, the number of miners doesn't have capacity, but refining that ore has capacity, and that's what that does. Okay. Then we have, and so the miners mine the ore. You can see metal ore on the right hand side there. Then the robots refine, you have 2,800 robots, refine that, and that becomes metal stocks. Metal stocks is then used through the rest of the industries to grow and to build. Okay. Armaments. So if you take a look at armaments, we told it before when we left to build probes, and it's already built 0.83 of a probe. So there's not many people. There's only 130 people building, but they've almost built 1 probe. Torpedoes are used on your ship for shooting other ships, and then missiles, of course, are for shooting ships also. But probes allow you to probe the universe faster, and we have 1% building that. Shipyards. Now, shipyards is actually very interesting. It can build cannons and fighters. Cannons are also known as surface guns on the left-hand side. The surface guns are built-in defenses to the planet itself. Now, it's a defensive weapon only. A fighter is both an offensive and a defensive weapon. So fighters fly up to attack the inbound fighters. The cannons are shooting them down. And so this is what you build if you want to go on the offensive. And this is your better defense, is to build cannons. Okay. All right. Now shipyards. The number of workers in a shipyard, and there's some charts available on the wiki. The number of workers depends on how big your ship can be built. Okay, you'll notice on the left side over here, the number of hulls is 0. So if I take that to 360, you'll notice that after a second, oh no, not 360%. I don't know what the percentage is. Oh, let's make it 3.4%. That will then give us 446 workers, and now we can do 3 hulls. Now we'll talk about that when we go to dry dock, what that actually means. But the number of workers working in a shipyard determines the size of ships that you can build. Okay, so just keep that in mind as we go into the shipyards and explore that at that point. Okay, now you have to build that capacity. This capacity is very expensive and it grows very slowly. So a good shipyard builder on your team is worth its weight in metal. Okay. Civilian factories. Now what civilian factories build, they build consumer goods. Consumer goods affects your standard of living, which affects your score. Consumer goods have capacity, so you have to build that with the basic industry, just like we talked about a second ago. But this only affects your standard of living. It don't give you anything else. Now, when the consumer goods are sold, it produces metal and can be used to supplement your mining. So if you have a low mining, building consumer or civilian factories is good. So I'm going to go ahead over here and I'm going to add 4% into this because we got a good boost on our growth. And I'm going to turn shipyards back off. I'll turn it back on when we go to dry dock so we can see it. And I'm going to leave this on building probes for right now. Now, you'll notice here consumer goods is 97, 92, so it built one. And pretty soon we'll see consumer goods being used over here. Oh, there it is. One is used. That also gave us a metal boost. Okay, so consumer goods, now standard of living is 25%. That's the lowest it can go. Actually, this would be 0 right now because you have one consumer good that's only been consumed. So the idea with that value is it lets you know how many consumer goods have been consumed on this planet, and that allows you to do the math. Actually, it's available on the wiki to calculate your standard of living. Okay, so we're going to need at least 13,000 to get this to 100%. So 25% of 13 is about 3,000 something. So we won't see this value increase until we have 3,000 used consumer goods. Okay. All right. Agriculture. This is how much food they're building. This also includes your number of troops. So if you get a lot of troops, you're going to need to make sure they have food. Okay. Now, the next thing is construction. We talked about that a little bit already. We're going to build 96 houses for every 100 workers. Okay, so 9,000. You can actually do the math on that. Times that will tell you how many you can get per year. Government. Here again, you can increase this as much as you want. You could put 50% into government. It won't be as efficient, but it's a good, fast way to raise cash if you need to. Okay, so government is all about collecting taxes, and the number of tax collectors is the best way to say it. So there's no tax collectors, you don't get any tax. And unemployment, here again, that's not a good thing to have. You don't want any unemployment. Okay, so let's check all this stuff before I leave and we end this video. Okay, so recap real fast. Basic industry builds your capacities. Mining builds your number of miners give you metal ore. The capacity is the number of mining robots that convert that metal ore into metal stocks, which is used. Armaments builds torpedoes, probes, and missiles for your ship. The next one down is shipyards. That builds cannons, which are defensive or surface guns, and fighters, which are your offensive weapon. And the number of workers, which is 0 right now, will determine your number of hulls you can build in your shipyard. Civilian factories builds consumer goods, and consumer goods are used to build your standard of living. Agriculture grows food, and that includes the colonists and the troops. Construction builds houses, and there is no capacity. You can see these guys, there's no capacity on these. Government is what collects your taxes, and unemployment is people just sitting around doing nothing but getting paid by the government out of taxes. Okay? All right, that is a basic concept of MegaWars in the industries. Now, how you use all that and how you refine it takes a little bit of time. And there's some people that will tell you it takes years to really understand how to control PM. And maybe some of those people will share it with you. Get on their team and let them help you learn to grow. All right, that is it for planet management. Okay, see you in the next video.